Hey guys, welcome to the Powerful Man Show, where we help married businessmen save their marriages without having to talk about it, get unstuck, and gain clarity in their lives. As I like to say, life is too short for average. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Now let's get this started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Tim, so great to have you back in the saddle again, my friend. How are you doing?
I am doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing well. Just riding the wave of life and all that goes with it. But yeah, I'm doing okay. What about you?
I'm doing well, man. I feel a lot better. My family's been sick. And guys that have younger kids, you'll get this. 3 a.m, all of a sudden through the monitor. So we have a little monitor, a baby monitor. I know you've seen those. I get a little scream from my daughter, right? If you can picture our bed, we have a large California king bed. On the right hand side where my wife sleeps, she's got my daughter's monitor. On the left hand side, I've got mine. And around just before 3 a.m, so like 2:50 or somewhere in that ballpark, all of a sudden we get this screaming coming in from a 2-year-old going, I don't want to go to school. Apparently my daughter woke up in the middle of the night. We just have her in preschool. She's gone twice, I think. And in the middle of the night, she was having a teenager complex. So I've been up since 3 a.m, my time. That's just the way that rolls when you got kids. But feeling great otherwise. We got a lot going on. So, of course, as you know, we got Iceland. We're doing a big trip out to Iceland, which I'm super excited about. It's probably I'll be out there flying out there a week after I think this is going to be released, and you will too, as well as Arthur and a lot of the other guys in the crew. I think there's almost 40 of us going, 40 grown men going to Iceland. And for the guys listening to this, it's
Gosh.
part of the trips. The men that come into our 1-year mastermind program, the Brotherhood and the Inner Circle, and one-on-one coaching get access to this. But it's first come, first serve. We capped out at, I think it was 37 guys. And so we had the waiting list for the rest of the men to come through. So we're going to be taking over Iceland for a week. And then after Iceland, as soon as we get back, we are opening up a training program that will be through Facebook on the Facebook group. It's going to be a free training program. So guys, check the Facebook group if you want more information on that. I'm really excited about that program. So we're putting all that together before we go.
It's gonna be funny, isn't it? Doing the morning workout, running through Iceland, 37 grown men.
It's a blast. I mean, we got guys. We have guy.
Running through Reykjavik.
Yeah, the Iron Man. I'll call him the Iron Man. He just finished his Iron Man. So we got guys at that fitness level, and then we got guys that have injuries or are really just coming off the couch, so to speak. So we have men of all fitness levels, and I think the key thing, that we get to remember, we always keep it fun. And the way the guys do it is every man is included in everything we do. So like the guys that are training for a marathon, we have a guy that's going to be he's training he's preparing for Boston, but he's training for another marathon. And talking to him, and he's going to get up early, do his run training, and then come back and exercise with, the other guys, the rest, us humans that are out there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, part of the workout is going to be a run through the streets of Reykjavik. So my point being, 37 men running through the streets of Reykjavik is going to be quite the sight.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was happening. That's news to me.
Yeah, well, if we're doing the morning workout, yeah, it's that's going to be one of the options. But regardless, even if it's 20 men, if some of them choose to set themselves off, right? 20 men running through the streets of Reykjavik, it's going to be, like the Viking days back in Reykjavik.
Well, I remember we were walking through, we're in Morocco. We were walking through the alleyways. What are those called again? Do you remember the names?
Ah, no, I
Souks,
don't.
Souks, I think.
Ah,
Anyway, we're walking through the alleyways and people were stopping us asking if we were a professional football team. And then in the States, when we did an event in New England, we had all the guys. We went to a Planet Fitness. So for the guys in the US, you know what a Planet Fitness is. And so a group of us went in there and just paid the guest pass into a Planet Fitness. And as we left, a bunch of people stopped and asked if we were a professional hockey team. So
yeah.
nothing like giving a bunch of 40-year-old men, 30, 40, 50-year-old men an ego boost than to have some women stopping us asking if we're professional athletes.
It's so funny. It's great.
It is. Well, it reminds me, this morning I was at CrossFit, and I've been doing CrossFit, as you know, for a little while. It's the It's really the only game in town in the small town that I live in. And I was working out there. And I was talking to a guy next to me, and he's my age. He's on a second marriage, and he hadn't been in for a while. And I was traveling, and so we were just chit chatting as we were kind of warming up. And he was just like rubbing his knee, and he was like, "Geez, my knee has just been killing me." And this has been going on for a little while. Great guy, but ex-athlete as well. And so I asked him, I was like, well, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to recover? Are you doing things for your knee? Are you stretching? Are you doing myofascial release? All the things that, from my background, which is some of it's rehab, I was asking, like, what's the protocol you're doing to protect your knee joint so you don't have to get surgery? And he looked at me just kind of puzzled, Tim. And when he looked at me, he said, well, it's just going to get better. Like, I'm just waiting it out. And, I don't like to give advice to people unless they ask for it. So I just kind of smiled, nodded, and went back my time. But this knee injury has set this guy back about 6 months. He was the leader in the gym. He had the leaderboard. Now, he's getting lapped by guys like me. Like, we're beating him because his knee's killing him, right? His knee's bothering him. But for the last 6 months, he hasn't done anything except for take some time off, right? And push through the pain, those two things that us guys just tend to do, right? He's doing those two things, but he's not really doing anything. And he's just hoping it's going to get better. If I leave it alone, it's going to get better. And it instantly reminded me, at least in my reflection after the workout, I was thinking, man, this is the number one thing we hear from men. So when men call our advisors, right, they get onto a call because often their marriage isn't working out the way that they want to, right? It's just not going great. And then after all of that, they kind of go, well, I'm just going to wait it out and hope things get better. Even though it hasn't been good for 5-10 years for some of these guys, they're going to wait a little bit longer and hope it gets better. And it's kind of like this guy who has got a knee injury, and he's just going to hope it gets better rather than going to see a physical therapist, a chiropractor, or a qualified professional and getting a diagnosis and getting the tools he needs to get healthy and get back in the gym. Now, the reality of the guy that I was next to on the platform, he's going to get hurt. Like, I've done this for so long in the fitness world. He's going to get a serious knee injury, right? It's going to be a patella tendonitis. He's going to maybe tear an ACL. He's going to do a box jump. And now he's going to be out for a year, 2 years with something more serious because he's not being proactive in his recovery. And the same thing goes for us guys. I mean, I remember, Tim, you're going to laugh at me here, but I remember when my wife and I were going through our crap, back in the day. And I kept on thinking that, gosh, this is going to pass. Like, it can't be like this for this long. And I think as men, we survive on hopium. We survive on this idea that we hope it's going to get better. We hope it's going to happen. And I know for me, it didn't. And just like this guy and myself with injuries I've had, you have to be proactive and actually take action. You have to go there. You can't see the forest from the trees. You need a professional who's going to guide you so you can expedite your recovery, or if it's your marriage, you can expedite the ability for yourself to get back on track. Hoping and waiting just does not work.
No. And it's interesting, right? Because something I often say to the guys when I'm working with them, and then I know they've got kids, I'll ask them, well, what advice would you give your son or your daughter in this situation? Oh, well, I'd be taking them to the doctor straight away. We'd be getting that looked at. Okay, well, why? Like, if it's good enough for them, how can it not be good enough for you? And the interesting thing as well with the guys we work with, part of how they live is they make things happen. Like, if
Yeah.
you look at how they show up in business and the things that they've created in their lives, they make things happen. And I get it. It can be a rough ride, right? The thing they've done, or they've taken some risk in their marriage to try and fix it. It's not worked. They feel rejected. The risk of putting themselves out there again and allowing themselves for it maybe to not work again, or some other unintended consequences as a result. I get it. There's a risk there, but at the end of the day, they're strong enough to handle what comes with it. And I think they need to remember that motto that they often live by: I make things happen.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us have this ideology. I mean, I know I did. I've been an entrepreneur for so long that we have this thing like, oh, I'll just pull myself up my bootstraps. And as a man, we've kind of been trained to not talk about it, not ask for help. I mean, the classic joke is that men don't ask for directions. We all know that's a joke. We all know that's kind of a funny thing, haha. But that really is a stigma, and like a lot of things that are made as jokes, there's a lot of truth to it. There's a lot of truth that comes into guys aren't going to ask for help, guys aren't going to ask for directions, and they're just kind of hoping they find their way. So it's analogous to going on a long drive. Now, as you know, Tim, I drove across the United States 3 times in 1 year. This is my family was doing a lot of traveling. We moved back to the East Coast, and I was flying back to grab cars and et cetera, et cetera. So, but point is, I use GPS, and there's times that I got lost. And I'll be honest, there are times where I was like, okay, I just kind of know the general direction, so I'll just keep driving. And then I would end up in a dead end in a part of town, in a place that I don't know, but a part of town I knew I shouldn't be in. And that just happens. And you got to get directions, and you have to have navigation, right? You have to figure that out. If you just hope you find your way, you're going to end up in a dead end in a bad neighborhood like I have, where you're trying to scramble to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. In our lives, in marriages, that dead end is divorce. That dead end or that bad neighborhood is your wife having an emotional affair, right? Worst case scenario for a lot of men, they're going to end up with another man raising their child. That's just the reality. Over 50% of the men listening to this statistically are going to end up with another man raising their kids, right? Another man teaching their son to shave, another man taking their daughter to ballet or whatever else it may be. And it can get a lot worse, as you know. So what we want to do, and you can use this in any area, we have 5 territories we teach the powerful man: self, health, wealth, relationships, and business. But in the relationship category, which we talk about a lot because we have a program on how to save your marriage without talking about it, in that category, you need direction. You need the tools. We just haven't been taught it. There's not one guy that goes through our program that doesn't say, crap, I wish I would have done this sooner. Most often they're like, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. No one's saying, I wish I would do this a year later. Not one time out of the thousands of men, not one, right? These are very smart businessmen, right? So this, basically success leaves clues, guys. And in this area, you want to think, are you just waiting? Are you just waiting for things to get better? Are you this guy? And I love this guy, by the way, who's in my CrossFit class that's just waiting and hoping his knee miraculously heals. And the reality, what he doesn't know is because his knee hurts, he's going to be sitting down more, which then makes his hips tighter, which is actually going to hurt his knee even more than him actually doing stuff. He just doesn't know. And he hasn't sought the quality professional. This could be in your business too, guys. Maybe your marriage is going well. We have a lot of guys whose marriage is good that listen to the podcast. So maybe it's an area of your business that you're just hoping sales are going to get better. You're hoping your marketing is going to hit eventually, but you're not putting proactive effort. You're not going out and hiring consultants or the best person to help your sales team or whatever else it may be in your world. You pick the category: relationships, business, yourself, whatever it is. But you're not doing yourself a service. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not taking action. At the end of this podcast, I always say the same thing. In the moment of insight, take massive action. But it's also so rare that a man does. So rare. And more often than not, guys are hoping. And I'm talking about guys, Tim, that are getting on calls with our advisors. So they've gone through a process. If you want to get on a call with our advisors, you have to apply. You have to fill out an application because we have so many men that want help. Right. So we got to get these to the advisors. Then you get on a call with an advisor who's going to give you insights into your relationship, into your personal situation. Right. This program's not for everybody. And when that happens, what we're seeing more times than not, as you know, a lot of guys are coming in, they're going through all those steps and they hit kind of a fear breaker. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to hope things get better. I'm going to keep listening to the podcast. I'm going to go to the Facebook group. And that's good. But trust me, from a guy that listened to all the audiobooks, did marriage counseling twice, none of it worked. You got to have this guided tool with somebody to teach you the tools and guide you along the way.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? If you think about the guys in business, for the most part, we work with a lot of businessmen, right? And the guys that have the biggest businesses are the guys that we work with. The guys that are the most successful, have the most free time, lead the biggest teams, enjoy the highest amounts of wealth. Honestly, it's the guys that invest more into the mentorship that they have around them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're smart enough to recognize that they don't know everything. they're smart enough to raise a hand and get help and surround themselves with a board of advisors or a board of shareholders, whoever it may be. But regardless, to your point with the navigation, they don't know how to get there. So they're smart. They want to save time. Instead of it taking 20 years to get to their goal, they want it to take 5. So they want to shortcut that time frame by getting the guidance, getting the roadmap, putting in the work. They want to fail faster and also learn from people that have been before them so that they can realize, that plan that I've mapped out, those 3 things you've tried, and this is what happened for you. Do you know what? Actually, given what you've said, I'm going to try those 3 things. I'm going to instead trim my plan down, do these 4 over here, given what you've said and what the advice is that's coming through here. And let's see how that works, right? It's the same with the guys coming in. I mean, if you want to fix your marriage without talking about it, there's a reason it's called How to Fix Your Marriage Without Talking About It, because you don't have to get bogged down in the endless hours of conversation that typically doesn't really get you anywhere because there's so much resentment and hurt and frustration and triggers that go on that you can't even have a conversation usually. Instead, you've got to be able to fix your marriage from a different angle. And that's what some of these guys choose to do. And we have guys that do it in record time as well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I saw a guy that did it in just 1 week in a program, which is rare. I got to tell you guys right now, that's not the norm. But if it happens, it does happen. I was gonna say all the time, but it happens several times a month that we see something like that with guys going through the program. And the other side of this is taking proactive action, right? And not just hoping. Mm-hmm. You're actually doing something that's going to better yourself and better your marriage and being proactive around it. And that's all you can do, right? As a man, as a leader, if you're going to go from deer, which is defending, excusing, explaining, reacting, to wolf, which is wise, open, loving, and fierce, you want to be that leader. And a leader is proactive and a leader is decisive. Wherever you look at, that's what you want to look for in a leader. And your wife is looking for you to be the leader. Your company is looking for you to be the leader. Your community, your church organization, your synagogue, your mosque, whatever you're going, they're looking to you to be the leader or somebody else. And you listening to this right now or watching this on YouTube, my question to you is, are you going to step up and be the leader? Whatever area it is, it's up to you. Are you? Make a decision right now. Draw a line in the sand and decide. And say, look, I'm not going to be the guy at the gym whose knees hurt and I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to take leadership of the situation. I'm going to go get advice, go get counsel, fix this problem so I can do what I say I want to do and move forward. Be decisive, be a leader, be the wolf. Tim, as always, thank you so much, guys. I always want you guys to take action because I want the best for you. And it means so much to me when I get all the messages from you guys. I just opened my Facebook Tim Messenger, and I looked in the junk mail, and I had over 100 messages from men that listen to this podcast. Guys, bottom of my heart, I'm trying my best to get back to you. It's just not the most effective way. So please post your groups in the Facebook group. It's a free group for you guys. Any questions you have, Tim and I will monitor it. Guys that are in the program, Workplace is your place to go. And if you're not in those, that's okay too. But I'm going to say, guys, please take action. You're taking time to spend with Tim and I right now, and I want the best for you. Tim wants the best for you. And now in the moment of insight, take massive action. We'll see you next time. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. But as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. You see, there are 2 types of men that listen to a podcast like this. Those that go on from one podcast or show to another, just hoping things are going to change and realizing that they're going to be in the same place month after month, year after year. You see, I was this guy, so I completely get it. You may just not be ready. But there's also a second man that listens to a show just like this. And this is a guy who takes massive action so they can shorten the learning curve, compress time, and get results to be the wolf. See, wolf is an acronym for wise, open, loving, and fierce. Now, ask yourself, which one am I? And just be honest with yourself there. And there's no judgment on my end, but if you're ready to move from deactivated deer mode, which is defend, excuse, explain, react, to activated wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, then go over to thepowerfulman.com/grow and go there now. In fact, I'll make it super easy for you. I will even put the link right in the description here. So you can just click it and go over there now to learn more. Guys, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Go from deactivated to activated, because like I said, life is too short for average. And I'll see you on the next episode.